What up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Thursday to you all. A DK show coming at you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Big thanks for making us a part of your start, whether you're listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also .com. Get your smart devices, smart speakers. Video streams are all up and rolling. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram. Happy beginning, or I know we had the plans. I'm calling it still the beginning. Happy NCAA Division One start day. Greatest time of the year. And then the next month and change, we've got the tournament. We've got opening day next week. We've got the Masters in a couple weeks. We've got the NFL draft in just about a month. It's under 40 days, a month and change. NBA playoffs next month. NHL playoffs next month. This is the greatest time of the sports year. Which one's your favorite? Are you all about the hoops? Are you about the NFL draft, the Masters opening day, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs? Where are you at on that, man? There's a lot of good ones to choose from. But it all begins today. First game, first tip off is going to be Creighton versus Louisville at 11:15. Wisconsin not far behind. One of the first games, the third game that'll be tipping off today, 12:30, taking on Montana. So, uh, hopefully you got your brackets in. You can check them out by visiting the websites. Again, sportstalk1051.com. Click on the Fan Cave tab and scroll all the way down there, and you'll see the icon at the bottom of the page. Or again, just check out our Facebook page, and link is up there in one of the statuses and such. So, but who's your Final Four? Share it with us. Who is in your Final Four? Who's your national champion pick? And how far do you have Wisconsin going? Hit us up with the text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912, or you can comment on the video streams or hit us up on the socials too. So we'll talk some hoops, college hoops throughout this morning. Plus, we got UW Stout women's basketball. They begin their Final Four tonight, taking on NYU for a shot to get to the national championship. So best of luck to the UW Stout women's basketball team as they're in action tonight as well. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have a matchup between Stout and Oshkosh for the national championship. So also, we've got the start to the boys state high school basketball tournament. So yeah, this is the day, the next couple days. If you are flipping the tubes and trying to find something to watch on TV, you're going to have plenty of options when it comes to basketball because, well, we've got, obviously college, but also the boys state high school basketball tournament. And Elk Mound is in action at 1:35 today. So best of luck to Elk Mound. They're going to be taking on Freedom. Got other games in action today that include Bondwell taking on the Prairie School Aquinas, taking on Mineral Point. More games in action tomorrow as well. And that's when Turtle Lake and Cochrane Fountain City and such are in action. But so plenty of hoops talk. And then the nightcap, really, Bucks taking on the Lakers, a very late start, 9:30 tonight. So plenty of hoops chats coming at you. We'll throw a little Brewers talk in here too, because we are getting, well, we're getting a clearer picture of what the opening day roster is going to look like for the Brewers. Pat Murphy the other day alluded to some of the decisions that this team is going to have to make, some maybe tough decisions when it comes to some of their veterans and that. But one of the moves from yesterday that maybe kind of gives us an idea of how this is going to play out is Andrew Monasterio. Andrew Monasterio has been optioned to AAA. So when you look at it, it kind of maybe paints the picture of how this, again, opening day roster, its initial roster, because we know all season long and even after day one it could change. But you got Hoskins, Terang, Ortiz, Dunn, Jake Bowers, Tyler Black, Vinny Capra, Caleb Durbin are the only infielders left in camp. So I would imagine that maybe this bodes well for Caleb Durbin to make this ball club. So we'll see, though. I know you got, Pat Murphy again said by Friday for some of those veterans and such, they'll figure it all out and let them know by Friday. But Andrew Monasterio, one name that obviously we've known from the last couple of years, option to AAA. And remember, Vinny Capra doesn't have any options left, so I would imagine that he's going to make this roster, considering the spring that he has had too. So we'll talk some more baseball. Again, as we get a week from today, a week from today, opening day. 1 week from today is opening day, as they take on the Yankees. What else do we got on the docket here this morning? We'll do some outdoor chats with Mr. Jake Bilks. We'll catch up with him after a couple weeks. And if you have any questions for Jake, now is the time to send those puppies on over. Again, the best way, easiest way, quickest way is to text us on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. That way we can get them over to Jake and such. So send those on over, and we'll get to some outdoor chats coming up at about 8:30 this morning. So a couple hours from now. I got a little bit, but earlier the better. That way we can send those to Jacob. So we've got not a whole lot of football stuff, but maybe we'll throw a little football stuff here. We've got some of the rule proposals that were released yesterday, including the Packers tush push ban. We'll tell you the reasons why the Packers are giving the competition committee why there should be a ban on the tush push. But some other proposals out there. Detroit put out a proposal to eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding in illegal contact. Philadelphia also had a proposal to align the postseason and regular season overtime rules by granting both teams an opportunity to possess the ball, regardless of the outcome of the first possession. So making it similar to postseason rules. And Detroit also has a proposal out there to amend the current playoff seeding format to allow wildcard teams to be seated higher than division champions if the wildcard team has a better regular season record. That's of note, especially coming from Detroit too, because remember Minnesota last year came down to that final game of the regular season. Detroit wins it. Detroit gets the top seed, and they only lasted one game, but gets home field, and then Minnesota, with a better record, had to go on the road to face the Rams, and they fell. So if that rule would have been in place, this would have affected Green Bay last year too. But if this rule would have been in place last year, for example, your seedings then would have went still Lions, Eagles still would have been the 2 seed, Vikings would have been the 3, Commanders would have been the 4, Packers would have been the 5th, and then you have the Buccaneers and the Rams. So the playoff matchup, Packers would not have been the 7 seed. They would not have gone on the road against the Eagles. They still would have gone on the road, but they would have played the Commanders instead. Rams would have been on the road, taking on the Eagles. Vikings would have been home, taking on the Buccaneers. I think that one to me, I think, and I don't, you let me know, but what are your thoughts on it? Do you think the NFL should adjust the playoff seedings so it goes to whoever has the best record, regardless if you're a conference or a division champion? Should they adjust it so that wild card team that has a better record isn't going on the road? Because we have seen it numerous times where, Green Bay's been the benefit of this too. They've held games. I know they still lost it, but was it 2013? They were 8-7-1, and then 49ers had to come over to Lambeau, and 49ers won it on a last-second field goal. But regardless. I feel like this one would get a majority, but maybe I'm wrong. So let me know if of all these proposals that were kind of out there, I feel like this is the one that maybe would garner the most support. But what say you? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know. Okay. Uh Other ones too. Pittsburgh proposed to permit clubs during the 2-day legal negotiation period that they could, have a phone call with a free agent or Zoom call or visit or whatever. So, but looking at the ones that I think fans would have more of a say. What do you think about Detroit's rule to eliminate a first down, to eliminate the automatic first down as a penalty imposed by defensive holding or illegal contact? Because again, for the example for that one is 3rd and 15. Looks like the defense has held or stopped them, but wait a second. 5-yard illegal contact penalty, automatic first down. The drive continues. What do would you like to see that changed? Obviously, it helps out if your offense is out there, but if your defense is out there, you'd be might like So let me know. Hit me up with and then the overtime rule, making the postseason overtime rule the same as the regular season. I feel like that. Why not make it all the same? Right? Make it the same. So we'll get that too. And whatever else is on your mind here this morning, hit us up with those texts or comments or messages on the video stream. And I did post it up on social media last night on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, if you want to chime in over there. But, with the next month, like to me, this is day one of the next month in a few days. It's like not exactly a month, but it's like a 35, 36 days. So I'm calling it the month. But we got the NCAA tournament. We've got the opening day. We've got the NFL draft. We've got the Masters, the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. What's your favorite one? Or rank them for me. Of those options, which one is your favorite? It's all over the place, which I fully expected. I don't even know if I could rank them, to be honest with you. All right, let's get it going here. Send me your Final Four picks. Send me your predictions for the Badgers in this tournament. Is it 1 win? Is it 2 wins to the Sweet 16? Is it 3 wins to the Elite 8? How far you got them going? Throw in Marquette in there too. Marquette's in action tomorrow. But give me your Final Fours and give me your national champion picks. All right. It's a basketball day today. I know a lot of you too probably taking a day off or at least tomorrow off to watch some hoops. So, all right, let's take a quick break. And we got the leadoff coming up after these quick words. Tomorrow we will be over at VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue for our little skip day, sports skip day, watching some hoops starting at 11 a.m. Free man cave light till it's gone. A free pint of man cave light to those who stop on over. So get on over there. Let's watch some hoops together. G-Man, you going to be over there? G-Man's got Wisconsin winning today, 86-73, and G-Man says he's got the Badgers winning it all as well. So, but tomorrow is the day. So I know C-Bomb's going to be there too. I think him and I are going to be doing a little celebrity bartending. Maybe we can get Brandon to do that. I know Brandon's coming over too, but maybe we can get Brandon to do a little celebrity ones over there too. So, but should be fun. Looking forward to it. Plus, we've got some Brewers tickets we're going to be giving away. Got some Jeff Foxworthy tickets we're going to be giving away. Got some sports talk stuff, some new stuff that we're going to be passing out. So stop on by and watch some hoops with us. All right. What is so I posted this up yesterday asking what is your favorite part of the next month and change. To me is the best time of the sports year. Brian says the top four on your list, one of the greatest sports times of the year. All the top four on the nomination ones out there were NCAA tournament, opening day, NFL draft, and the Masters. You also got NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs on there. Kyle says the NCAA tournament and the Masters. Adam says easily the Masters. Kyle says toss up between the draft and the Masters. Joe says NHL playoffs. Kevin says has to be opening day, makes it start to feel like summer. C-Bomb says it's the draft. We've got Adam that says it's opening day. Jordan says the tourney is awesome, specifically the next 4 days. But for me, it's the NHL playoffs. Nothing beats it. So all over the place, which I fully expected and I love to see. So you can keep those picks coming by either hitting me up on X/Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. G-Man will be there. You want to talk about a celebrity for tomorrow? It'll be G-Man. Maybe we got to get G-Man to do a little celebrity bartending there too. They're big guys. So, oh, we got sirens going on outside the studio. Hopefully everything's okay. Holy moly. All right. So, when we switch studios, move to our studios, I won't be able to hear the traffic and sirens and plows going by because our wall's like right there facing the wall. So, if you heard that, that kind of freaked me out there for a second. It scared me. All right, let's get going here this morning on the leadoff. Let's talk a little college basketball. Who are your Final Four picks? Who are your Final Four picks? Share it with us. If you got your bracket in, send us your Final Four picks. Who do you got? All right, text me 715-830-1912. Who do you got in your national championship? How many wins for the Badgers and for Marquette? How many? Let me know. All right. We got a few already coming in here as well. Opening fishing's in May, so that doesn't count in the next month. So otherwise, I could throw turkey hunting in there, sir. But no, we're just looking for the next month here. We got Badgers going to the Sweet 16. That's from Chris. We've got Greg saying we've got Badgers winning 1. I have them losing to BYU in the second round. Hopefully I'm wrong. Sam says Badgers in the Sweet 16. Brian says Badgers to the Elite 8. Another texter has the Badgers in the Sweet 16. I know I kind of threw out that poll a couple days ago, and the majority was Badgers in the Sweet 16, winning 2 games. So if you win 2, you're in the Sweet 16. You win your 2 this weekend, you're going to be heading off to the Sweet 16. So, but yeah, that's kind of where the majority is right now. Some Final Four picks for people. We've got Eric going with Duke, Auburn, St. John's, and Alabama. Is that on the same side there? I'm gonna have to double check that over here. Okay, some other bracket picks here. This is from John, says he's going all the 1 seeds, all chalk. Another pick, we've got Auburn, Duke. I think the other one had Duke and Alabama in there. I think, they're in the same side. So Texter, I don't have a name I can't say, but uh, it's maybe Tennessee. Were you thinking? Because that's the 2 seed, and the other one. Otherwise, Houston's the other top seed. Anyways, this Texter had Auburn, Duke, St. John's, and Houston. Another person had Michigan State, Alabama, St. John's, and Houston. Another texter. This one's from Matt. He's going with St. John's, Michigan State, Duke, and Houston. All right. So, okay, I got a few more of you coming in here too. So keep those coming. I'll get back to them coming up here in a little bit. Wisconsin, meanwhile, though, tips off 12:30 today. So we're about 6 hours away from tip off. They're one of the first games in action coming up on the schedule. First game is going to be Creighton versus Louisville. And then you've got High Point at Purdue. And then Montana taking on Wisconsin. Wisconsin, Montana, the third game on the schedule for today. Wisconsin favored by 16.5 points for this contest. I mean, not to go into a deep dive breakdown in this thing because, I mean, everything favors Wisconsin, and Wisconsin should. I don't like to use the word easily when it comes to sports because anything can happen any given day in that, and that's why they play the game. But this should be a win for Wisconsin, a comfortable win for Wisconsin. I mean, the best case for now, quick turnaround. They got done playing late Sunday. They're playing one of the first games on Thursday. They had to travel. I think best case scenario for Wisconsin is they got this game in hand fairly early where, maybe to like a John Tonje or John Blackwell and some of their main guys don't have to play a whole, 35 minutes or something like that where they can get a little bit of rest there. But Greg Gard, I don't know if he's, trying to put just a positive spin on it and such, but Greg Gard actually, noted that, he kind of thinks the quick turnaround could be good for them. He liked how they played defense in the Big Ten tournaments and just having that quick turnaround, maybe kind of having some of that momentum, picking back up right away. So, I mean, there's that aspect to it, I guess. So, yeah, he said, quote, I think a quick turnaround is actually good for us. I think the Big Ten tournament was good for us. We got our defensive bite back, our recovery, and our plan of how we want to approach this month is right where we want to be. The other part is too, it'll be interesting. Does the altitude affect it for this Badger team going over to Colorado, going into Denver? I know it's indoors and such, but that's been something that's been thrown out there as a possibility. Could it affect the team like Wisconsin going to Denver? So something to kind of keep an eye on, I suppose, especially for a team that is coming off of a short rest. Could that altitude affect them? It's their 5th game in 8 days. Oxygen, breath might be a little tough to get. Greg Gard was asked about it and pretty much said we've got to play a really good team, and that's the bottom line. So really, Greg Gard sending the message of no excuses. And I mean that's the message from Greg Gard that has to be sent out there. That's the message. I mean, there is no tomorrow. It's do or die. It's, just if you lose, you're going home. And for some of these kids, it's their final game. So you can't use any of these excuses. Using them as excuses isn't going to change where you play, who you play, when you play. So just to, for those kind of talking about the elevation and such, this is from Athlon Sports Denver. Elevation at 5,280 feet. Madison sits at an elevation of only 873 feet. Greg Gard says his training staff has done some things to help his team deal with the conditions, but also said, I haven't made a big deal of it because I don't think it's a big deal. We'll acclimate to it, and we've already been working in that process. It's not going to be any type of excuse you're going to get from us. We've played in a lot of different places. We've played in really hot gyms. We've played in cold gyms when they couldn't get the air conditioning shut off. We've seen a lot of different circumstances. Nolan Winter even saying, talking about his team's youthful legs. We've all done a lot of recovery stuff and getting ready for these games and for the altitude and whatever. So, Max Klesmet said, I think we're prepared for the altitude. It's kind of one of the things we thought of right away and and he admitted, but I think we've got a really good training staff, really good strength coach, strength and conditioning program here. I think we've got the right people taking care of us, and we are in the right hands. Everybody's prepared. They've got to play in it too. It's not just like we're going to be the only ones playing in the high altitude. So, I mean, we'll see how much of a factor it is for a team like Wisconsin and such. You know, Montana is not that far away. I don't know if they have much of a benefit and such, but maybe something to kind of keep an eye on for a team that has played 5 games within 8 days. Possibly something to kind of monitor when it comes to Wisconsin. But looking at this Montana team, you know, the Grizzlies of Montana. Obviously, a lot of us probably don't know a whole lot about them. Well, a little bit of a breakdown from this, kind of just looking at their roster. Money Williams, their guard, leading scorer, 13.3 points per game. They've got 4 players who average double-digit points. 4 players who average double-digit points, and they're all guards. I mean, they're, as you heard RJ talk about a little bit the other day, they got a small lineup. So you got Money Williams there, 6'4" guard, their leading scorer. You've got Malik Moore, another guard, 6'5", averages 12.8 points per game. Another guard, Joe Pridgeon, 6.5. So, I mean, their guards are fairly big, but averages 11.5 points per game, nearly 7 rebounds per game. Kai Johnson, 6'4" guard, 11.1 points per game. And Brandon Whitney, another guard, 6'1", 9.5 points per game. And I guess they're big. They're forward. Tejon Sawyer, 9.2 points per game. So to me, it's going to be interesting to kind of watch. Does the size of Wisconsin, is that going to be the determining factor? And they do have a 6'10" guy. He's a freshman, but he only averages about 3.4 points per game so far this year for Memphis, Jensen Bradkey. So, I mean, they got a little bit of height there, but nothing to really write home about. And he's played 24 games so far this year. But will it be the size? Will Wisconsin use their size advantage with Stephen Krall, with Nolan Winter down low? Will they take advantage of it? Will it be the guards? Will it be the guard play of Montana that takes advantage of Wisconsin's height on the, Wisconsin's defensive side and maybe trying to drive the hoop or shooting from the outside, shooting from the perimeter, and that to try to use that Wisconsin size as a disadvantage. I want to see Wisconsin today, excuse me, really feed Stephen Krall and Nolan Winter. If Nolan Winter and Stephen Krall aren't dominating down low and utilizing their size, what's the game plan then? I don't want to see a whole lot of threes being chucked up. Not saying to not shoot any threes or any of that. I just want to see Wisconsin utilize that size and take advantage of what they've got with Winter, with Stephen Krall, heck, even John Tonje too. I mean, I want to see these guys get to the rim, go at it, attack. Wisconsin's got some size out on the perimeter too. I mean, Tanje's 6'5", I believe, around 6'5". You got John Blackwell, who's about 6'4". Klesmet outside there too. He's about 6'4". So I mean, it's not like Yeah, yeah, Montana's got some taller guards, but Wisconsin matches up well with them too. So I wanna see the bigs of Wisconsin go down and dominate in the paint and dominate driving to the hole. That's what I wanna see from Wisconsin today, utilizing that and dominating. Don't be shooting a bunch of transition threes and chucking it up there. Try to get the ball down in the paint. Try to get it down into the block. Not settling for outside jumpers all the time. You know, that Michigan game in the Big Ten championship. It's kind of what we were talking about, right? I mean, they were just chucking up a bunch of outside shots, and the inside was open quite a bit, a lot of times. If anybody was watching, you're probably thinking, dude, the drive the lane or the lane's open, the inside's open. And Michigan had some bigs too. But this is an opportunity for Steven Crawl and Nolan Winter to go in there and just dominate with their size. And they can shoot from the outside too, but maybe feed it down low today. Okay. Feed it down low. How far do I've got or do I have Wisconsin going? Who are my final four picks? All right, I'll reveal it. First, we'll take a quick break here. And that means probably not to copy my picks, but send me your final four picks. Send me your predictions on how far you got Wisconsin going and your national champion picks. March 31st, it's the Brew Crew home opener, but we're going to be hanging out at High V for a little bit of an extended lunch to watch a little bit of the Brewers home opener. So 110, 110 is when first pitch is slated to start on that Monday, March 31st. So if you're going to be taking a lunch break from work, maybe take it a little bit later. See if you can get a little extended lunch break there and hang out with us at High V. They got their new menu. If you haven't tried it over there, burgers are fantastic. Definitely try those and such. So, but yeah, we're going to hang out over there, watch a little baseball for a little bit, and kind of have a little bit of a lunch break hour with some baseball. So, looking forward to that. Speaking of High V, looking for fresh, affordable, and convenient. Well, you'll find it all at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. From fresh produce to top quality meats and everything else in between, they make shopping super simple. Need a quick dinner solution? Check out their delicious grab and go meals. Hosting a get together? Hey, their bakery and deli have got you covered. Plus, with weekly deals and friendly service, there is always more to love. And don't forget about their fuel savers that help you save money at the pump. Shop smart, shop Hy-Vee. About 13 minutes or so to the top of the hour. We've got more picks. Wisconsin winning 2 games, getting to the Sweet 16, says Eric. John says Sweet 16 for the Badgers. Patrick says Elite 8 for the Badgers. And another texter says Badgers win the first game, get upset by BYU in the second round. We got a couple more Final Four picks here. Andy is going Duke, Tennessee, Auburn, and St. John's. Another Final Four pick. We've got Jordan. Jordan is going to go with Alabama, Tennessee, Michigan State, and Florida. Okay. Keep those coming throughout this morning. You can text it, tweet it, or comment on the video stream. So my Final Four. Now, I feel like this is a tournament where we can make the case for quite a few teams to not only get to the Final Four, but be the national champions. We talked about it all season long, all throughout this regular season. That man, this is kind of a little bit of an open field when you look at it. Yes, you had a lot of the same teams kind of in that top 10 rankings, top 15, maybe even in the top 5 throughout this season. We saw that. But I think there's some depth to this tournament when it comes to the quality of the teams. And so I went into this thinking, man, I might pick some upsets, have maybe some of the lower seeds advancing pretty deep into this thing, and not gonna lie, it kind of turned a little chalkish for me, and I don't know if I couldn't just pull the trigger on some of the upsets and have the guts to make those picks, but yeah, mine kind of went a little chalkish with my Final Fours. Wisconsin, though, I have going to the Sweet 16. I have them playing BYU. That game does make me a little bit nervous if it is BYU, but I do have Wisconsin getting to the Sweet 16 and ultimately falling to Alabama. But I'll be on like you could call me a homer or whatever. I could see Wisconsin getting to the Elite 8. It just what version are we going to see Wisconsin at that point when they get there? So I bracket though officially. I got them going to the Sweet 16. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they can get to an Elite 8 and such. I wouldn't be surprised if they can get that far, but, my Final Four, though, my Final Four, I'm gonna go with Auburn. Got Auburn going to the Final Four. I mean, they've just consistently have been one of the better teams throughout this season, throughout the country. I mean, in the country, they've always just kind of been there. Bruce Pearl, again, leading the program there to a fantastic season. So I've got Auburn coming out of their region, coming out of the South. Looking at the West, I really wanted to pick St. John's. I think they're one of the teams that are playing some of the best basketball at this point. But their matchup, they potentially would play to get to the Final Four, another team that is playing some really, really good basketball, and that's Florida. So, gosh, it's tough, but I went with Florida, so another 1 seed. If I had a I wanna pick St. John's, but I went with Florida. And this honestly could maybe come down to the coaching. Maybe Rick Pitino has a little bit of an advantage at that point, but nah, I'm gonna stick with Florida in there. And then in the East, Duke being the top seed, I did go with Alabama. The Cooper Flag injury. Now, this if he's back a little bit later on and, even if he's like 80% or whatever, I think it makes a difference, but the further they get along in the tournament and if he's not able to go, I think is going to catch up to them at some point. So, I had that in mind making this pick, and that's why I went with Alabama. Now, Alabama does worry me a little bit. But Nate Oates has just done a fantastic job with that program over the years. I mean, I don't know if another team like, Indiana's already got their coach and that, but I mean, when you talk about basketball programs, you still don't necessarily, I mean, they've changed the narrative over the last few years, but Alabama is still a football school. It's still a football program. I just wonder at some point is some program, if an opening at some point comes up in, let's say, Kansas or whatever, I got to imagine like Nate Oates would be one of those guys that would be on the target there because it's still, I think his job that what he has done at Alabama flies under the radar a little bit. But given the consideration that the injury to Cooper Flag, I'm gonna go with Alabama. And then in the Midwest region, got Houston, you've got Tennessee, Rick Barnes over there. Houston, best defensive team in the country. Calvin Sampson. I'm going to go with Houston. So I've got 3 1 seeds coming out of it and 1 2 seed in Alabama, which sets up a Final Four with Alabama taking on Houston and Auburn taking on Florida State. And my national champion, I'm going to go with, or national championship game, I'm going Auburn versus Houston. 2 teams that have consistently been in the top 5 all season long. And I'm going to go with Auburn. I'm not comfortable. I'm not confident in that pick. I say that every single season, but I think everybody has that same mindset when it comes to their brackets. But I'm going Auburn over Houston in the national championship. So again, Final Four. I've got 3 1 seeds. I don't like that. I don't like it. I know Jay Billis on his picks went all chalk and did all 4 1 seeds in there. And I know it's kind of gutless not to have anybody lower than 2. I honestly like if I were placing a prop bet on this thing, I do think there's going to be at least a 3 or higher seed that will get to the Final Four. I think if I had to pick a wild card to get there, it's not Iowa State. I think their injuries are going to catch up to them. Texas Tech possibly. Maybe they could upset St. John's and get there, but I think St. John's is playing some dang good basketball right now. You look at the Midwest, and you've got Kentucky. I know Kentucky's a popular pick, and Mark Pope has done a fantastic job in his first year as head coach over there. Been a little inconsistent at times this year, so I don't know if I'm comfortable picking them to, get by teams. I got actually in my bracket Illinois beating Kentucky. Illinois, I think, could be a sneaky, sneaky good team. And then again, Wisconsin. I could see them going to the Elite Eight. I really could. I don't know if I can if I've got the gonads to do it. So, but yeah, those are my picks. What are your picks? You can let us know. Again, hit us up with a text or comment on the video streams and that. All right, coming up next hour. Coming up next hour, I want to talk a little. I want to talk a little football. So the rule proposals or changes have been revealed, including the Packers' reasonings of why they picked or why they're submitting a proposal to ban the tush push. We'll go through their reasons why Green Bay, because that has been revealed, that has been released out there. They submitted the reasons why it should be banned. Get your thoughts on that. But also there were a couple of other proposals out there that I think we could see being changed. And one in particular really kind of intrigues me, and I want to get your thoughts, and that is the whole wild card, a wild card team getting a home playoff game if they have a better record than a division champion. What are your thoughts on that? So, for example, it would have been like the Vikings last year. It was the Vikings going on the road with a really good record. And yes, they ultimately lost. They went on the road to the Rams. Ask any Vikings fan, ask Brandon. That was the team they didn't want to go up against. They didn't want to go on the road and play the Rams. So if this rule were in place last year, even Green Bay would have been a higher seed than the seventh seed. They still would have been on the road, but they would have been the fifth seed and they would have taken on the Commanders. Vikings would have been the third seed. Buccaneers would have gone on the road to play Minnesota in Minnesota. Would have been a little bit different in the AFC as well. Chargers, Texans, instead of being in Houston, would have been in LA. So do you like that? Do you like the fact that this possibly could change where if a wild card team had the better record, they would host it? Or do you think that takes away from the importance of winning your division? Think about that for a little bit and hit me up with those texts. Also, we're going to do a little receiver defer coming up next hour. So I need some receiver defer questions. If you've got those, text them. Okay? Text them. 715-830-1912. I need a good list. Also, send me your questions for your outdoor tidbits, for your outdoor questions for our DNR warden buddy, Mr. Jake Boakes. He'll be joining us at about 8:30 this morning. I also want to talk a little baseball. Maybe got a better vision, a clearer vision of what the opening day roster is going to look like for the Brewers. Brewers yesterday optioning or sending Andrew Monasterio down to AAA. I mean, we were just talking about it yesterday. Could he be the guy that makes it because of his position versatility? So what does this potentially mean for guys like Durbin? We'll tell you that. And as we are 1 week away from opening day, 1 week away from opening day. Aaron Savali, too, apparently yesterday in his outing against the White Sox, was pitching with a split finger on his pitching hand, but Pat Murphy saying he won't be out or won't miss any time. Apparently he's done it before. So, but we'll talk some baseball. Throw that in there too. Keep sending your Final Four picks, your national champion picks, and how far you've got Wisconsin going. All right. Keep sending those on over. Don't be shy and get your brackets in. Believe the deadline is 11 a.m. today. So get to our website and get those brackets submitted. All right. One in, two more to go. We got some news updates, and we'll be back to chat a little. Well, we got a little Throwback Thursday first, and then we'll chat a little football coming up in just a few minutes. Second hour kicking off right now on this Thursday morning, March 20th. Appreciate you tuning in, however, wherever you may be tuning in from. We're going to talk a little football coming up in just a little bit. We got some baseball chat on the dockets, too. And, of course, we'll get back to some more hoops talk with day one of the NCAA tournament beginning in just a few hours from now. Continue to send me your Final Four picks and your national champions and how far you've got the Badgers or Marquette going. I've got Marquette winning a game, and that's it. So, yeah. Yeah, I got them winning one game and then losing to Michigan State. Badgers, I got to the Sweet 16. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's do a little throwback Thursday for this morning. Got a few nuggets here. 1897, the first intercollegiate basketball game that used 5 players per team was held. The contest was Yale versus Pennsylvania. Yale won by a score of 32-10. 1911, the National Squash Tennis Association was formed in New York City. 1914, the first International Figure Skating Championship was held in New Haven, Connecticut. 1918, the Toronto Arenas beat the Vancouver Millionaires to become the first NHL team to compete in the Stanley Cup Finals. 1948, the University of Michigan beat Dartmouth to win the first NCAA men's hockey championship. And what else do we got here? 1989, it was announced that Pete Rose was under investigation. I think that's about it. Yeah, so that's a little throwback Thursday here for you this morning. So yesterday it was revealed some of the proposals out there that for some of the teams to the competition committee. Now, we had heard a while ago that the Packers were the team to ban or throw out a proposal out there to ban the tush push, to get rid of it. We heard about a couple more proposals that were out there too, including playoff seedings, including changing the overtime rule to in the regular season to match what they do in the postseason. So there was a few other ones out there too, but those are probably the main ones out there. At least the ones that fans probably have a little bit more of an opinion on, right? So again, Packers, their proposal to prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives a snap immediately at the snap. The Lions also threw out there to eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. So again, it's a situation where it's 3rd and 15, incomplete pass, but you got illegal contact, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. In this case, they want it to be, instead of 3rd and 15 with a 5-yard penalty turning into an automatic first down, it would be 3rd and 10 and replay of the down. Eagles also saying to align the postseason and regular season overtime rules by granting both teams an opportunity to possess the ball regardless of the outcome of the first possession, subject to a 15-minute overtime period in the regular season. So obviously that would be probably still tie, whereas the postseason you can't have ties, right? You can't. You gotta be able to do that. So why? Here was Green Bay's reasoning. Let me see if I can if this is so here's the actual amendment. Okay, here's the actual amendment that the Packers proposed for the tush push. Amend Rule 12, Section 1, Article 4, blocking use of hands and arms, et cetera, et cetera. Article 4, assisting the runner in interlocking interference. No offensive player may pull a runner in any direction at any time, use interlocking interference by grasping a teammate or by using his hands or arms to encircle the body of a teammate in an effort to block an opponent, push or throw his body against a teammate to aid him in an attempt to obstruct an opponent or to recover a loose ball, immediately, this is where their addition is, immediately at the snap, push or throw his body against a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receive the snap to aid him in an attempt to gain yardage. Penalty for assisting the runner, interlocking interference, or illegal use of hands, arms, or body by the offense, loss of 10 yards. The reason Green Bay put for their proposal, player safety and pace of play. So I think we all knew pace of play was going to be the reason behind it. The pace of play one, though, is kind of interesting. I don't know if they're referring to like hurrying up and getting, the guys up at the line of scrimmage right away and not being prepared for. I'd like to hear a little bit more of the reasoning for pace of play, but kind of figured the player safety one would be the banner that they would run under that one. That one doesn't sound like it's going to pass. It according to NFL peeps out there, it doesn't feel like that's got the momentum to pass. A couple of other ones, though, potentially could. And one of them is this playoff seeding. And this perhaps could be the most significant one, according to NFL.com here. It was submitted by Detroit. The proposal would amend the current seeding format to allow wildcard qualifiers to be seeded above division champions if they finished with a better regular season record. The number one overall seed would remain the division winner with the best record. The proposal also states that if two or more playoff participants finish with the same win-loss tied percentage at the end of the regular season, priority shall be given to a team or teams that are division champions. So, for example, this would have affected, if this were in play last year, Chargers would have hosted the Texans instead of the Texans hosting the Chargers. NFC side, we saw this it would have been a little bit of a bigger example. Vikings, who were 14-3, had to go on the road to face the Rams 10-7. Vikings would have actually hosted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this scenario. Green Bay, who was 11-6, were the 7 seed. They actually would have traveled to Washington instead of traveling to Philadelphia. Green Bay would have been the 5 seed instead of the 7 seed. So that's kind of the differences that they would have made. And this is similar to what the NBA has done. The NBA eliminated prioritizing division champions in their postseason in 2015. Major League Baseball still gives a seeding advantage to division champions over wild card qualifiers, organizing them in descending order by division title winners and then by wild cards. So what are your thoughts on that one? What are your thoughts on that? It looks like a wide majority of you are in agreement on that. We've got Ben that says, I agree with it. It still makes it a priority to win a division because if you win your division, you secure a playoff spot. Dave says, I'm good with it. I think teams with better records should host playoff games. Look at the NFC North last year, probably the best division in football, and 2 of those 3 teams had to go on the road in the postseason. Josh says, I'm good with this. Says the NBA does something similar, as we just mentioned. Rodney, though, says he's fine with the way it is. Gives you a great reason to win your division, make division games mean more. Well, remember, though, too, I mean, you still win your division. You're clinching a playoff spot. You're still clinching a playoff spot. So, I mean, the division still means something. You're winning, if you win your division, you're guaranteed a spot. I mean, we've got examples of this all across. I mean, we've got examples of 7-9 teams back in the day hosting a playoff spot because they won their division with the team with a better record going on the road. I'm not surprised that a majority of people are going with this one. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this rule does pass. I don't know if it'll pass this year, but I think eventually it will pass. And I mean, this again, we assume that the NFC North is going to be really good again this year and maybe for the foreseeable future. So this could have some major implications within the NFC North: Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears. So if I had one to pick that I think is going to pass, I honestly think this is going to pass. Maybe not this year, but I think eventually it's going to. I'm also in favor of the proposal to change the illegal contact, the 5-yard penalty, and not making that an automatic first down. I'm in favor of that. Obviously, it would help out if your team's on the offense and you're cheering for it, right? I mean, it's 3rd and 15, and you have an incomplete pass. Oh wait, there's a flag on the field, illegal contact, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. I don't know about I'm good with getting rid of the automatic first down part, making it a replay of the down, but now it's 3rd and 10. You move the ball up 5 yards. Now, I know there's going to be defenses. You might hear the same excuses, not excuses, but counter arguments to the pass interference. Because when we've talked about this before, I think it was a month or so ago when we threw out the question, if you could change one rule in the NFL, what would it be? And a lot of people threw out the possibility of making pass interference kind of like college, instead of being a spot of the foul, where you just chuck it up and maybe you can draw a penalty and then it's like a 40-yard penalty. Instead of that, we had a lot of people say, make it like college, make it a 15-yard penalty. The counter argument to that for some people would be, well, then you're going to have defenses. If a guy gets burned, just drag him down then, or, just tackle the guy 40 yards down the field, because they'd rather give up 15 than the 40. I could see that same counter argument being used by people who don't want this in play to try to deter opponents, defensive players, from committing, a 5-yard penalty. Because I'm sure there's going to be some people who say as well, if a guy gets beat within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, you can see defensive players exposing that and saying, all right, instead of giving up potentially a first down on a 3rd and 15, I'll just take the 5-yard penalty and get a redo. That's going to probably be the counter argument for others. So, but I'm good with that one. I'd be good with changing that. I'm also good with the pass interference one too, because there are times, and I mean, I don't know why I go back to this one, but I always go back to the AFC Championship game with the Patriots and the Jaguars, and the Jaguars were winning, and Brady threw this ball down the field on the sideline. And it was late in the game, and he got a pass interference call. Extended drive, Patriots get the touchdown. They're back in the Super Bowl, and that was when they went to Minnesota to play Philly in that Super Bowl. We could have had a Jaguars with Nick Foles and a Blake Bortles Jaguars Super Bowl. Eagles, Nick Foles, Jaguars, Blake Bortles, Minnesota Super Bowl. Come on, we missed out on that possibility, for crying out loud. So, a couple people, actually more than a couple people. Oh, this. I know when we first brought this up, this turned into a hot button topic too. But Chris says Packers wanting to ban the tush push is embarrassing for the franchise. Learn to stop it. Dave says no reason to ban the tush push. Just because teams can't stop the play doesn't mean that you should ban it. Matt also saying no reason to ban the tush push. Packers even do it with Tucker Kraft. And then don't have a name for this one, but Texter says ridiculous that the Packers and any other team that wants to ban the tush push. Mark, meanwhile, says on a tush push, football is not rugby. Go back to the old rule where aiding any runner was illegal. Chuck Mercine on the Ice Bowl. Okay with the playoff change, illegal contact changes, maybe not automatic first down, but make penalty more yardage. Another texter says stupid for the Packers to say they want to ban the tush push. All right, so majority saying, it seems like the majority are saying don't ban the tush push. Surveyor Sam, back to some college basketball, though, says Final Four, Houston, Michigan State, Florida, Duke. Duke and Florida meeting in the national championship and Florida winning it all. I have Wisconsin losing to Duke in the Elite Eight and Marquette winning a game. So, all right. Thanks, Surveyor, for sending those over. Keep sending your Final Fours, your national champions. How far do you got Wisconsin going? How far do you have Marquette going? Hit me up with those. Let's take a quick break. We're going to talk a little baseball here. Maybe some more clarity on the opening day roster for the Brewers. We'll tell you some of the moves they made yesterday coming up after these quick words. Maybe you've gotten your tax refund already, and now you're asking, now what? Now what do we do? What if you could turn it into something that you would enjoy every single day? At Carpet City Flooring Center, you can upgrade your home with beautiful, high quality flooring, whether it's some new carpet in the bedroom, maybe some luxury vinyl planks for the living room, or maybe even remodeling your shower with some amazing new tile. Carpet City Flooring Center has so many different options for you to choose from, and your tax refund makes it easy and affordable. So, why spend it on something that you'll forget in a month? Invest in your home and enjoy the comfort and style for years to come. Visit Carpet City Flooring Center today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire, where the team there is ready to help you transform your living or workspace with some amazing new floors. Turn that tax refund into something truly rewarding this year with the help from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. All right. Let's talk a little baseball. First off, uh we got a couple here. My final four, this is from John. My final four is Auburn, Bama, Houston, St. John's. St. John's winning it all, has Wisconsin losing to VCU in the second round, and Marquette losing in the second round to Michigan State. C-Bomb says, I hate the tush push. I don't like runners being assisted. It isn't rugby. That said, if you don't like it, stop it. Most teams can't do it. The Eagles can. If one team can't be stopped, don't change the rules. Change how you defend it. But like I said, I dislike the play. Surveyor. I'm curious to get Surveyor Sam's opinion on this because Surveyor is a rugby player. I'm not saying ban the tush push, but if you don't ban it, what's stopping a team from creating a maul, a group of guys surrounding the ball carrier to prevent the defense from penetrating to tackle the ball carrier and just driving down the field that way? All I'm saying is if it's okay to push someone forward on the field, what's stopping a team from interpreting the rule to benefit teams on the outside? Just something to think of. See, this is why I want a surveyor's thoughts on it. Being a rugby player himself, I never even thought about the possibility of the example you just gave, surveyor of a mall. That's good. That's pretty good. Interesting. You should maybe be a consultant for some of these teams there, dude. That's a good idea, actually. Keep those coming, though. Keep your opinions on that coming. Baseball. Let's switch gears here a little bit. By the way, give me some receiver defer questions in the next 10 minutes or so we can get to that. Brewers, as we are 1 week away from opening day, where they will be taking on the Yankees, starting to finalize their roster, at least their opening day roster, right? We know that could change after 1 day. It has changed after 1 day. So do we put a little too much stock into opening day rosters? Probably, because they change so often and so frequent in a baseball season. But I think it also gives us a little bit of a glimpse of maybe where the Brewers are thinking. And one of those was the infield. We just talked about it yesterday. How is this infield going to look? Who are some of the jobs that are up in the air, or maybe a little bit of an undecided? And one guy we talked about yesterday was Andrew Monasterio. And could he get the advantage because he could play multiple spots in the infield? And he has done so for the last couple of years. We know the Brewers are really like him. Well, yesterday the Brewers optioned Andrew Monasterio to AAA. So when you look at it, these are the infielders that are left in camp. Hoskins, Turang, Ortiz, Oliver Dunn, Jake Bauers, Tyler Black, who had the game-winning home run yesterday, Vinny Capra, and Caleb Durbin. Does this potentially mean, with Andrew Monasterio getting optioned to AAA, that Caleb Durbin is going to be on this roster now as a guy that, he could cover multiple spots within the infield? Possibly. Pat Murphy talking about Caleb Durbin's development, specifically at third base this year. And we knew Pat Murphy loved Caleb Durbin when that trade was announced with the Yankees. I mean, he came out right away and talked about how much he loved Caleb Durbin's play and play style. But this was Pat Murphy yesterday from Adam McCulvey. Caleb's a good baseball player, man. He'll figure it out. Play second and third and be a pesky, great offensive player and make big plays at big times. He's a big-time player, man. That's who he is. You don't get here without being the right who. He's the right who. That kid knows how to play. So, yeah, the Brewers are Pat Murphy, very high on Caleb Durbin. And this third base thing, it will not be solved this year. To me, it sure seems like it's going to be a straight up platoon of Dunn and Vinny Capra, and then you throw Caleb Durbin into the mix there. I think, a little what if we were to play a little what if, sort of. But I feel like if Caleb Durbin had a really, really, really impressive spring, maybe from the plate too, offensively, and was just kind of blowing it out of the water, and Bryce Terang didn't have any arm fatigue, I feel like the infield, and maybe this is their vision at some point, but I feel like the infield would have been Terang at short, Ortiz staying at third, and Caleb Durbin at second. I feel like maybe that was the hope that they were having, or that was the hopeful vision they had with that infield, with Ortiz at third, Terang at short, and Durbin at second. But it'll be interesting to see how much playing time Durbin gets, because I think Durbin needs to play. I don't think, you just stash him on the bench and he's a bench player. I think he's got to play. He's got to get some games in. And that's the only way he's going to continue to get better is getting those reps. And that's where I thought yesterday, could he be a guy that's going to go start off in AAA? That way he could play every day and continue to get better and continue to gain experience. And maybe that still happens at this point. But I don't know, right now, maybe it seems like he's going to be, and maybe it's because they just want to have a little bit more protection if that arm fatigue with Bryce Terang is still kind of bothersome or gets worse. Hopefully not. But maybe it's a little bit of a protection from that standpoint. But I think Capra makes the team. I think Dunn makes the team. I mean, I think that's going to be kind of a platoon right now at third base. I don't know if those guys will be on the team throughout the whole season. I think a lot's going to be dependent on their play. I mean, we've seen it before with the Brewers. They're not afraid to keep maybe one extra guy at a certain position if that guy has played well enough and earned a spot. We saw it last year with 3 catchers. We've seen it before in the past with their first baseman, Jesus. G-Man Choi, I think, was in that one year. And then was it Eric Thames? And then they ended up training G-Man Choi, I think, shortly after. If memory serves, was that the right one? I'd have to double check. But so they've done it before. So it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of, especially with the Marcanas and some of the other veterans on this roster, how this shapes up to be. And there's going to be some strategery involved in this. Guys who do have options left. Monasterio has options left, obviously. Does that factor into some of these decisions? Well, this guy did play a little bit better than this guy, but that guy also has more options left, so we're going to throw him down in AAA and go with this one. And then, if it doesn't work out, we can just easily bring up the other dude. That is going to factor in a lot of these decisions too. And then, Tyler Black with that game-winning home run yesterday. He's kind of been a guy that I think before spring training started, was he a potential option at third base? I know there's talk that he's maybe better as a first baseman and such, but could he be a guy that, all right, can get you a little third, can get you a little first? If we want to have Hoskins as a DH, we can throw Bauer out there, or excuse me, Black out there. Could throw Bauer out there too if he makes it. And remember, Tyler Black's a lefty. But, just this spring in 29 at-bats, he's only hit 138, one dinger, and that was yesterday. So I don't I could see him again starting off in AAA and just seeing if he can put together a good streak here and start to play a little bit better consistently. Curious to get Brandon's thoughts tomorrow when he's on when we talk some Brewers baseball with him and kind of where we've seen some of these decisions at and how injuries affect some of these decisions, specifically too when it comes to the pitching department. I mean, we've talked about that the last couple of days, but now that we are just 1 week away from opening day, tough decisions are going to have to be made here. All right, let's take a quick break. Last call for any receive or defer questions. So thanks to a few of you who have sent those on over. We'll get to that. Also, send me your questions for Jake, our DNR warden buddy, for our outdoor tidbits coming up in less than an hour at about 8:30. So let's finish up the second hour. We got a quick break here, and we'll do some receiver defer after these quick words. Those extra turkey tags have been going on sale this week. Zone 4 going up for those extra availabilities later on this morning. So turkey season's right around the corner. If you need to upgrade to maybe a better turkey shotgun, or maybe you're going out for the first time and you need a turkey shotgun, go visit our friends at Tilden Gun. They can help you out. Fantastic customer service from Sean and Hunter. Go check out their website with their massive selection, best deals, best prices in the area as well. But or you could check them out at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. They got a sweet setup over there. Speaking of which, too, we've got some more photos added to our outdoors photo gallery on our website. Shout out to Kirsten, who sent us some photos. 760-pound marlin she caught. So we post that up on our Facebook page if you want to take a look at it. And you can check out all the photos at sportstalk1051.com by just clicking on the Outdoors tab. All right, let's finish up this hour with some receive or defer questions. Thanks to those of you who have sent over some of those receive or defer. This is from Ben. All 1 seeds will advance to the Sweet 16. I am going to receive that. I will receive that. If I were to say if I had to pick a 1 seed that wouldn't advance, I might go Florida, because they got the UConn factor there, although UConn's been so up and down this year. But if I had to pick one, I might pick Florida, just because of the potential to play UConn in the round of 32. So, receive or defer, the Brewers will add another pitcher before opening day. That is from Greg. I'm going to defer that. Opening day is a week away. Unless they would trade for somebody that is on, already been getting work in, or maybe sign somebody that gets released. I guess that's a possibility. But if it's somebody who's available out there who hasn't been in spring training, I would defer that. But I'm going to defer that regardless right now. I'm going to defer that for now. So, John asks, excuse me, choked up there. John asks, receiver defer. McCole Hardman will be a game changer for the Packers and lead the team in receiving yards. I'm deferring. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. I'm deferring that he leads the team in receiving yards. No, I'm not going on there. Game changer. I mean, how do we define game changer? I guess I think he could have an impact on this offense if he's used properly. If Matt LaFleur puts him in a position to succeed, I think we need to temper the expectations a little bit when it comes to Hardman. I mean, he's not going to be a guy that's going to get you 1K receiving yards, over 1,000 receiving yards. I think he can have an effect in special teams as a kick returner. I think he can have an effect in some packages on the offensive side, whether it's jet sweeps or just creating a lot of motion and misdirection, a lot of bubble screens and wide receiver screens. He's a guy that you get the ball in his hands in space and just let him use his speed that way. So I think you set the line. I mean, you look at it, he hasn't gone over 500 yards in a season since his 3rd year in the league, which was a few years ago. And I know he's been dealing with some injuries in the last couple of years, missing some time that way. I mean, where do we set the line at? Is it 400? Is it 500 in a season? So, no, I don't think he'll lead the team in receiving yards. I think he'll have some big plays and that, but do you qualify that as a game changer? I don't know if I'd say game changer yet. So I will defer on that. But I think if he's properly utilized, he could be a nice asset to this offense. And I've got confidence that Matt LaFleur is going to be able to find a role for him and be able to put him in a position to succeed. Receiver defer, another one related to the Hardman signing. Receiver defer with the Packers signing Hardman, they will still draft a receiver early in the draft. Again, kind of touched on it yesterday. I don't think with Green Bay signing Nicole Hardman, does this change their draft approach when it comes to a receiver? If anything, it maybe changes slightly the type of receiver that they're looking for. I still think they need a downfield, bigger type of receiver to fill in for Christian Watson, something of that guy, like a maybe a 6'2", 6'3" type of guy, bigger receiver. Because you look at the current roster right now, I mean, you've got Jaden Reed, not the biggest guy, but he's a very willing and effective blocker, I think, for his size. You got, Romeo Dobbs, you've got Bo Melton in there, you've got Harmon. Dontavian Wicks is like 6'1", and he could be a downfield threat. But I think maybe you look at it, maybe a little bit of a bigger type of receiver. So if anything, maybe it changes that. But I don't think with this signing it should. I could be wrong. I don't know how Goody thinks and what their mindset is, but I don't, in my opinion, I don't think it should change how they view this upcoming draft in terms of receiver. Because I think you also have to factor in that Dobbs and Watson are free agents after this year. And you might need some more depth in that. Why not go and grab a receiver if a guy's there? Don't reach. You don't necessarily have to reach, but if there's somebody there, go get that guy. Receive or defer. Excuse me, another Packers one. Receive or defer. The Packers will use their first round pick on an edge rusher. We're already in draft talk here, so I don't want to tip away. I mean, I guess I can. I'll say I receive it because I mean it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not ready to make my mock draft or picks yet, but yeah, I'll receive it. They had Stewart from Texas A&M for a visit. He posted on Instagram that he was at Lambeau Field yesterday. Stewart was the guy that just like blew the water out of the combine testing for a defensive lineman. So again, though, this is a guy that I'd be curious to see what Packers fans' reactions would be like, because if you read some of the draft stuff on him, still kind of raw. Maybe a guy that you bring in and try to develop because you look at production in college necessarily wasn't there, but he's got a lot of great athletic traits. I mean, that just speaks of a Goody pick, of a Packers pick. But I think you're going to have the question from Packers fans, and that's going to be, okay, but can he produce and play day one? Can you put him out there right away and count on him to be a producer, to have production? But he absolutely fits everything that at least what Goody has looked for in some of his picks in the first round. He absolutely checks a lot of those boxes. But I'm not ready to make a prediction yet. But I would say that, yeah, I'll receive it, because I wouldn't surprise me if they go edge rusher. And I'll throw in defensive line as part of that too. I think if you were to ask me what would be the top 3 options for their first round pick, I'd probably go defensive line, interior or end, corner, or even wide receiver. Tim in the Cooley region, receiver defer. Hudson gets in the top 5 of the NCAA brackets again this year. So, funny story, he refused to do a bracket, even though I told him he finished top 5 the last couple of years, and he's beaten me the last couple of years. He's refused to. I think part of it is he's so in baseball mode right now. However, right before his bedtime last night, I asked him one more time, "Are you sure you don't want to do a bracket?" And he finally said, "Fine, I'll do one." So he did turn one in last night. But I'm going to receive it. I didn't help him on any picks, but I will say he kind of had a little bit of a trend with some of his picks. I don't know if it was all of them, but I think it was at least 3 out of them. He picked all 10 seeds to win except Marquette, New Mexico. He went with Marquette. So he picked Vandy over St. Mary's. He picked Utah State over UCLA. Don't know if it was because of Jordan Love, Utah State. And he picked Arkansas over Kansas. That was one trend I noticed that he went with. So, I do think he had all 1 seeds going to the Final Four too. So, but I would receive that. All right. A couple more receive or defers that just came in. Receive or defer. Okay, so with the 1 seeds, receive or defer, all 1 seeds will go to the Final Four. I'll defer that. I'll just play with the odds on that. Receive or defer. Another one with college basketball. Receive or defer. The Badgers will advance in the tournament further than Marquette. I will receive that one. And then one more to wrap up our receiver defer. Receive or defer. Excuse me, choking up a little bit again. Receive or defer. Christian Yelich will lead the Brewers in home runs this year. I'm going to defer that. I actually did this on the podcast yesterday where Hudson joined me on the podcast. You can check it out, listen to it wherever you get your podcast, Man Cave Podcast. But he came up with a bunch of baseball questions to preview the season on his own. And he answered them and he asked them to me. And this was one of them that we threw in there. Who would lead the team in home runs for the Brewers? And I went with Hoskins. But check it out wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, also up on YouTube. So check it out. Check it out. All right. Big thanks to everybody who sent in your receiver defers. Final call right now, though, for any outdoor questions for Jake Boakes, our DNR warden buddy. Send them on over. Best way to do that so I can get these to Jake is hitting us up with a text at 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Okay, send those on over so we can get those to Jake. Didn't get Jake on last week, so we got a couple weeks worth of stuff to be catching up on. Also coming up next hour, don't forget to continue to send me your Final Four picks and how far you have the Badgers and Marquette going, and send me who you got in the national championship. Send me those picks. I know you made some brackets, so share it with the class. Who do you have going to the Final Four? How far do you got Wisconsin going too? Badgers will be tipping off in about 4.5 hours from now, 12:30. They're the third game to get started for today. Also, we threw in the we might as well talk about it because a lot of you chimed in on it, but the rule proposals becoming official yesterday. Not that the rules are official, but the proposals out there have been submitted to the competition committee, the Packers with the tush push. But the Lions also throwing out a couple of them that I think are intriguing. The illegal contact, the 5-yard penalty, taking away the automatic first down with it, yay or nay. And then the playoff positioning. If a wild card team has a better record than a division team, a division champion team, wild card team hosts. Do you agree with that? We saw it last year happen. Didn't happen to Detroit. Detroit ended up winning that final game, and they were the 1 seed and all, but it was Minnesota is the obvious example, 14-3, and they had to go on the road. This would have affected Green Bay last year too, because they still would have been on the road, but they would have been a higher seed. They would have went to Washington instead of Philadelphia. But do you agree with that one? Give me a little bit of a poll question there too. Speaking of poll questions, I posted this up on social media yesterday, but in my opinion, today is the start of the best month in sports, month and change. It's about like 35 days, 36 days, whatever. NCAA tournament, opening day, the Masters, the NFL draft, NBA, NHL playoffs. Which one's your favorite during this stretch? Okay. There is no favorite right now. From the votes and the comments that we've got, there is no number one. It is all over the board. But tell me which one. Because I think a lot of people would agree, but I think this is the best time of the year in sports. Which one is your favorite if you had to pick one? It's tough. Believe me, it's tough. So, and don't forget to tonight, 5-4 UW Stout women's basketball Final Four going up against NYU. They win, they potentially could go up against Oshkosh for the national championship on Saturday. So best of luck to the Blue Devils and the Blue Devils basketball team. All right, shot clock's gonna cut me off here in just a sec. So send me all of those. I know it's a lot, but I want to hear from you. I like talking with you, peeps. So send those on over. We'll get to that coming up after our news updates. Before we get to Jake at the bottom of the hour at 8:30, answering your questions for our outdoor chat this morning. To win, we got one more to go. Stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Final hour on this Thursday morning. Thank you to all of you for tuning in, where you're tuning in from, how you're tuning in from. Coming up at the bottom of the hour here, we're going to catch up with Jake Boakes, Wisconsin DNR Warden, answering your questions. We know turkey tags, extra turkey tags going on sale this week. Got my alarm set to get some for today too. So Zone 4 officially going on sale later on this morning. So if you are looking for some extra turkey tags, you might want to go and check out the availability for those certain date ranges and such. But we'll chat about that and more with Mr. Boakes coming up in about 25 minutes or so. NCAA men's college basketball tournaments begins in just a couple of hours. Maybe some of you taking a day off today and tomorrow to just sit around and watch some basketball. Maybe some of you having certain procedures done so you can stay home and watch basketball. First game going to be tipping off at 11:15. Creighton versus Louisville. Wisconsin's the third game to get started today, but they'll be taking on Montana at 12:30. If you're wondering what station to watch that on, it's going to be on TNT, it looks like. So how far do you have Wisconsin going? It looks like the majority of everybody who has chimed in on this has them winning 2 games and advancing to the Sweet 16. A couple of you do have them going to the Elite 8, and a couple of you do have them only winning 1 game in the tournament. Not really. I would say probably the leading, if I were to go through the messages we got and some of the picks that we got sent through, I would say it's Houston, Auburn, and Duke are the most popular picks for national champion, which again probably isn't that big of a surprise. I mean, that's 3 1 seeds, and there are 3 teams that have kind of consistently been up there. So I would say that is the most popular one. What is if you got your bracket in front of you, what is the lowest seed you have in the final 4? Like I'll admit it, I went chalkish. I mean the lowest one I've got is a 2. But has anybody got anything lower? Somebody's got I feel like odds are a 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe even is going to go. We've only once? Is it still just once? I have to double check at that. All 1 seeds went. But I mean, anybody got a 3 or 4, maybe even lower than that in their final 4? What's the lowest one you got? Okay. What's the lowest one you got? So we'll talk some more hoops coming up here in a little bit. We talked a little bit of football there with the rule proposals and such. What do you think about the Lions proposal, specifically when it comes to the playoff seedings? Let's kind of focus on that one. Do you agree with their proposal that if a wild card team finishes with a better record than a division champion still clinches a playoff spot, but the wild card team would host? Looks like a majority of you do agree with that. And I think I'm okay with that one too. I think it still puts a premium on your division games because if you win your division, you still clinch a playoff spot. You're still there. But, I mean, we saw this with the NFC North this past year where you had, Detroit, Minnesota, 14-3, but 14-3 record, which is like really good almost any other given day of the year. But with the current playoff structure, it's a 5th seed. If these rules were in place last year, Minnesota would have been a 3rd, and they would have been at home hosting the Buccaneers instead of traveling to visit the Rams. I get the arguments like, well, focus on winning your division then. I understand that, but I think it's also fair to acknowledge that some divisions are tougher than others, and it's almost to the shouldn't you almost kind of factor that in with quality of opponents? Because I think this would be a factor for the NFC North, and I don't know if this is why maybe the Lions kind of threw this one out there too, because the Lions were the 1 seed last year. But I don't know if this was what they're thinking is like, okay, our division is going to be dang good for the next few years. So, yeah, maybe let's try to reward some of our division teams if they have better records than some of these other division opponent or division champs, and get a home game for the wild card. I don't know if that was part of the thinking, but you look at this division, at least on paper, it sure looks like it's going to be dang good for not only this year, but maybe for the next few years. Bucks are back at it tonight. You got a lot of basketball. You've got state basketball boys going on. Elk Mountain's in action today. So best of luck to Elk Mountain. We've also got a couple more games going on for high school boys basketball. You've got Bondwell taking on the Prairie School. Aquinas taking on Mineral Point for just a couple of them. I know tomorrow we've got Turtle Lake and Concord Fountain Cities in action too. So state boy basketball begins today. We mentioned it, UW Stout in the Final Four for girls basketball. UW Oshkosh as well. They're in action tonight. So lots of basketball going on. And then you got the Bucks, which might be the last basketball option for a lot of Wisconsin fans today, because you've got the Badgers, you've got state boys basketball, and you got a couple WIAC girls teams in the Final Four. And then you got the Bucks. Well, they play at 9:30 tonight. So, I mean, if you're a diehard basketball person, it is literally from like 11 o'clock today all the way until maybe at 11 o'clock or midnight tonight. Straight up basketball you could be watching. But the Bucks taking on the Lakers tonight at 9:30. Bucks are a full game behind the Pacers now for that 4th spot in the Eastern Conference. 14 games left to go for the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks coming off that loss against the Warriors. There was a report that, so let me bring it up here. So after that Warriors game, apparently, according to Chris Haynes, NBA insider Chris Haynes, after that loss to the Warriors, Doc Rivers had a private meeting with Damian Lillard and Giannis, with those two. Haynes said, in this meeting, I'm told, was an open forum for both stars to provide input on ways to improve the team. It was a constructive session with each individual being allowed to share their perspective. So you got a meeting between head coach and the two top players on this team. I don't know if this is something that could change the course for this team in the final 14 games before the postseason starts. I don't know if, this was, maybe this happens a little bit more. I mean, we hear it a lot, like with the Packers, the leadership council, right? The quote unquote leadership council we've heard about over the years, where it's players and certain players and that talk to with coaches and front office and that. And it would make sense that if the Bucks had something like this, that it's those two guys. But definitely, I feel like you got a team that's with Giannis, who's having one of his better seasons, with Dame, and you're only 8 games above 500, and you're 38-30, and you're winless against Knicks, Cavs, and Boston, the top 3 teams in the league right now in the Eastern Conference, and you only got one more shot against the Knicks. Don't have any more games against the Cavs or Boston for the rest of the year. So definitely a very weird, I would even say disappointing season too. So don't know what will come from this meeting, how the Bucks will respond from this meeting, but we knew this was a big stretch, and I'm not surprised that there was a lot of frustration after that Warriors game. You're going up against the Warriors with no Steph Curry, and you have 2 quarters, second and fourth, where you only put up 17 points in each of those quarters, and you allow the Warriors to go on a 16-0 run in the fourth to take the lead and not look back. I mean, that was rough. That was rough. And Bucks right now have to, if they want any hope of making a division or a playoff run and just getting into the postseason with some mojo and some momentum, clock's ticking. You got to get on that now. You got to start to put together something here where you got some consistency, and maybe you're riding a little bit of momentum into the postseason. Because I still feel like they need that home court. But even if they get by that first round, they're waiting for you is a date either with like probably the Boston Celtics or the Knicks. And I don't know of anybody who will pick the Bucks to win any of those series, which is a shame to say because you have Giannis putting up the numbers he is this year. You have Dame on there. You have acquired, Kyle Kuzma, Brooks on there too. There's talent on this team. It's just they are not playing to the level of the talent that they have on this ball club. And it's frustrating and it's disappointing. That's why I feel like this offseason is going to be a very pivotal offseason for the Bucks. I still feel like when we tip off the next season in October, Giannis will be on there, Dame will be on there. They're going to have a little bit more financial flexibility this offseason. I think they've got to make some major moves. And I do think this is the final year that we're going to see Brook Lopez in a Bucks uniform unless it's a massive pay cut. He's a free agent, but unless he takes a massive cut in pay, I don't think he's back. We'll see if they can grab a win here. I felt like they've got to at least come 3 and I'd like to see 3-2 in this 5-game West Coast trip. Thought they had a shot heading into that game against the Warriors with no Steph Curry. They couldn't take advantage of that. I think for sure you've got to make sure you get W's against the Kings and the Suns, and that third one's got to come either now with the Lakers or the Nuggets. Try to take 3 out of 2 on this West Coast trip. Let's catch up on some texts here. Let's catch up on some texts. We've got Dave says absolutely agree with the Lions proposal for the playoffs. It still gives incentives to win a division because you clinch the division spot there. No reason why a 7-9 division winner should host a playoff game when a 14-3 team has to go on the road. Well, maybe it'd be like 8-9 now because of the 17, but I get what you're saying there. Another texter says, agree with the rule proposal to change the playoffs. The teams with the better record should be the ones to host it. Another texter says, definitely agree. This one is from Mike. Mike says, definitely agree that a wild card team should host a playoff game if a division champ has a lower record. You're still giving a playoff spot to that division champ, but we should reward the better teams overall for home playoff games. Another texter, Steve, says yes to the playoff change. And then another texter, don't have a name, says agree, change the playoff. Mark, right now, the lone one here says leave playoffs alone and keep the tush push. Ranking the next month, he's got draft, March Madness, the NBA playoffs, opening day, NHL, and then would be Masters. I'm assuming you got golf on there. So, because we just gave the few different options. There's ones on there that we didn't have on there. So, more text coming through here. Chris has agree with the rule changes to give the playoff to give a wild card playoff team a home game over a conference or a division champion. We've seen it too many times now, and it's time to change and reward teams who are actually better than some division teams. In regards to the tush push, it's got Mike here says, if you can't stop it, doesn't mean you should change the rule. Other teams should just learn from the Eagles. Another texter says they should change it and go back to what it was back in the day where you couldn't push a person from behind. Another texter says, I don't really care about the tush push rule. And this is actually from Greg. Greg says, I don't really care about the tush push rule. I will just say if this was the Packers doing the tush push rule, I bet you Packers fans would all say to not ban it. Yeah, I mean, maybe that does make a difference. If it's your team that's having success with it, you're probably not saying ban it or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, you could say that for a lot of teams and fan bases at that point. Some more rankings here. Got them on social media. Let me bring it up here. We had Kyle says NCAA tournament and the Masters. We had another person send me a message saying NCAA tournament opening day, the Masters, the draft, NHL playoffs, and the NBA playoffs. Another texter says my favorite is the draft. Masters, I would probably say we got quite a few Masters picks for the top one, or at least in the top two. Masters has been a very, very common one. So for anybody who has thrown out the Masters, which is one of my favorites, but for anybody who says the Masters, does it change for you if Tiger's not playing? Because we know Tiger's not playing. So does it change for you with that? More picks, NCAA tournament, NHL draft, or there is Ben's, spit it out, Dan. Ben's top two. And then we've got Andy, who is saying his favorite is the NCAA tournament. So with the next calendar month in a couple days, we're cutting it off at like NFL draft, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs starting. Which one is your favorite? NCAA tournaments, the Masters, opening day, the draft, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. Where do you got? Okay. Some more picks here. We got a couple people saying Badgers to the Sweet 16. We've got Henry saying he's going with Duke to win it all. We got Jordan saying Auburn versus Houston, with Houston winning it all. And then we've got CJ saying he's going with, CJ's going with Duke to win it all. Keep your Final Four picks coming. Keep your national championship picks coming. And how far you got Wisconsin going. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to switch gears up for just a little bit. We got some outdoor chats with Mr. Jake Boakes coming up here. So thank you to those of you who have sent in some questions. If we don't get to yours, if you haven't sent it in yet, save it for next time. You got to get those in early for us so we can get those to Jake. So we'll take a quick break, and we got outdoor chat coming up after these quick words.
Show will be right back.
Has this winter been tough on your windshield? Have a crack from all the rocks and pellets? Go to Post Glass and Mirror and get your windshield chip repair done before it cracks. And if it is cracked, get it replaced in their heated shop. Post Glass and Mirror does every make and model. You can wave goodbye to windshield defects. Their knowledgeable specialists quickly and efficiently repair chips and cracks to restore the structural integrity of your car glass. Put your trust in them to care for even the tiniest flaws, guaranteeing a safe and clear driving experience. Post Glass and Mirror in Chippewa Falls, locally owned. Find them on Facebook or go to postglassandmirror.com.
Service Master of Chippewa Valley is your local expert when it comes to fire and water damage, carpet and air duct cleaning, mold remediation, and trauma. They're when you need them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Trust comes in the yellow truck. Learn more at ServiceMasterChippewaValley.com.
Welcome to Staples.
I hear Staples prints it all for any business.
You bet, and we'll beat any print quote.
So if I had a pizza place...
Staples can print signs, menus, pizza boxes.
A landscaping business?
Oh, we can print yard signs, t-shirts, brochures.
How about a pizza/landscaping business? I'll call it Dough and Mo.
I like it.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5, exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing.
I don't have any cravings.
You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works. Period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Early bird special, only $49.99 guaranteed. Because don't just cut down, but stop smoking. In addition, lose all the weight 100% guaranteed with Mark Patrick seminars. Let hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings and lose the weight. That's right. Seminar Thursday, March 27th at the Best Western Plus Eau Claire Conference Center in Eau Claire. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m. Registration 30 minutes before seminar. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com today.
Are you ready to get your musical game on? Are you a 7th to 12th grade Wisconsin garage band that wants to play Summerfest, the world's largest music festival? Then Rockhanson wants you. All genres of music are invited. Rock, reggae, rap, jazz, country, or whatever style of music you play. This is the only program of its kind in the nation. Check out rockhanson.org for more information. Registration is free. This competition will showcase 10 statewide garage bands at the big gig. The winner and runner-up each receive a second gig at Summerfest and a professional recording session. Check out rockhanson.org. That's ROCKONSIN.org. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Rockhanson is brought to you by the Nicholas Family Foundation and made possible by the support of Madison Area Music Association, Tilt Media, WEAU 13 News, Shure, I-94. Rockhanson, Youth Garage Bands Rocking Wisconsin, produced by Dennis Graham Associates.
It's tax season, and by now I know we're tired of numbers, but here's an important one for you to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Here's another one, 20%. That's the overall increase in identity theft related to tax fraud in 2024 alone. It's not all grim news. There's a good number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every single second. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. Backed by another great number, the $1 Million Protection Package. In fact, restoration guaranteed or your money back. Don't face identity theft and financial losses alone. LifeLock Identity Theft Protection for tax season. Join now. Save up to 40% off your first year. Promo code Patrick. You can call 1-800-LifeLock or go to lifelock.com. Make sure you use the promo code Patrick for 40% off. Terms apply. lifelock.com.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing.
I don't have any cravings.
You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works. Period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Early bird special, only $49.99 guaranteed. Because don't just cut down, but stop smoking. In addition, lose all the weight 100% guaranteed with Mark Patrick Seminars. Let hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings and lose the weight. That's right. Seminar Thursday, March 27th at the Best Western Plus Eau Claire Conference Center in Eau Claire. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m. Registration 30 minutes before seminar. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com today.
Broadcasting live from the TDS Sports Talk 105.1 studios, it's the Dan Kasper Show.
Craving some top quality meats? Then you better get to Mike's Star Market. From juicy steaks to mouth-watering brats, they've got you covered for whatever you're craving, including some tasty snack sticks. Their Bloody Mary beef strips are my favorite over there. Whether it's a family dinner or a tailgate feast, they've got the best selection in town. Friendly service, unbeatable flavor. Mike's Star Market is your one-stop shop for everything meat. Swing by today at 2238 Heimstead Road in Eau Claire and taste the difference. It's time to catch up with our good buddy, Mr. Jake Boakes, outdoor DNR warden for the great state of Wisconsin, for some outdoor chats here this morning. Jake, first things first, bud, I got to ask you, who's your Final Four? Who's your national champion picks? Because I know you're a basketball guy.
You got me. I was just sitting here before this.
Jake, are you there? You there?
Oh, okay.
There we go. Now we got you. Somebody pushed a button on this thing. I don't know why. So.
Oh, that's all right. It's funny you say that because I was sitting there thinking about, right before, I called here thinking about, did I make the right call on my picks and yada, yada. But long story short, I got Florida winning it all.
Okay.
Just hard not to pick them in my mind. I definitely got, who do I got? Auburn, Florida. I think I have Alabama and Houston with No, excuse me. I have Alabama and Florida in the final. I'm forgetting my bracket here, but I have Alabama and Florida in the final, with Florida taking it.
Sounds like an old school college football matchup there too with those two schools.
It kind of does, and I don't know. I like to do upsets and this and that, but lately, the last couple of years, I know there's always upsets, but I always pick the wrong one. So playing it a little bit safer than I normally would with some top tier teams winning, but I got a little bit of mixture in the first couple rounds, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. Like I thought I was going to be picking a lot of upsets in this one, but I win a lot of chalk in a lot of those just because I'm like you. I don't know which there's going to be upsets. I just don't know which ones they're going to be right now.
Yeah. No, and I always end up taking one, and then all of a sudden, day one, your bracket's busted, and it's like, I want to try to at least make it to the Sweet 16 with maybe a chance to win the pool I'm in.
Exactly.
So,
hey,
yeah,
Jake. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, it's fun. It's a good time of year.
Absolutely, definitely. You factor in that you've got opening day next week, Masters, everything. It's my favorite time of the year. So
it is turkey, golf, shed hunting, basketball. Good time.
Exactly, man. Hey, speaking of, talk a little outdoors here, and obviously with the weather, depending on where people are listening at, Eau Claire, we didn't get any snow now, but I mean it's been melting and such, and I've seen people on like Facebook and that posting where they've found maybe some deer carcasses, whether with the snow melting and all of a sudden they're there, whether it's a roadkill or maybe it was a deer that was hit with a bow and not found, but now they're found, and it's skeletons essentially, but he's got a big rack of antlers on there. If somebody finds one of those, whether it's on their property or public land, what's the proper? Can they take it, or what do they have to do with that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question with everything going on this time of year. So start off with the basics. If you find legitimate sheds, like antlers that are falling off of the deer, on any property, as long as you're not trespassing, you can pick it up, you can take it, yours, you can even sell them and do this kind of stuff. Once you find a shed, an antler, you're good to go. That's your shed. You don't need any authorizations or permissions or anything like that. Again, as long as you're not trespassing and taking other people's property. Where the DNR starts getting involved is that if you're on public or private property and you find a dead deer, if there's any meat on not just the body, because we're talking about the head here, because most people are just taking the antlers or want the antlers or the skull, is if there's any meat or hide or skin on the antlers on the skull, you have to get a possession authorization take from the DNR from a game warden. So if you find a deer and the squirrels and bugs, probably not squirrels, but the bugs and different animals have eaten it down to the bone, you're good to go. You can take that skull, you can take those antlers, you don't need a take. But if there's any sort of meat, if there's skin all over it, if it's still kind of gross, you got to get a take from the wardens. At a minimum, we can sell stuff back to the public at $10. So a lot of times we sell it between $10, $20, $30, depending on the size of the deer and the decomposition and such. So if you find one, if you find a dead head, give the DNR a call, whether it's the general information line or your local warden, and ask what to do with it.
So even if there's just like a little bit of hide on there or just a little bit of meat, you gotta let the a warden know.
Per the state statutes, yeah, you do. The best thing to do is if you find one and it's kind of like that, it could go either way, call a warden. I do this all the time. Call the warden, explain what you got, and then I always just ask for a picture. I'll be like, just send me a picture of it. I'll take a look at it, and then I'll tell you whether you're good to keep it or if we just need to meet up quick and I can get you a tag.
Gotcha.
So it's really that easy. A lot of people think if you find it on your private property, it's yours, no matter what condition it's in. That's not the case necessarily, because there's a lot of background to why the state retains the title to animals and why we make decisions on animals without getting into it today. But usually it's one of those situations that was illegal or unfair or unethical. One person ruined it for the rest.
Right. Jake, also this week, I mean, big week too if you're a turkey hunter, because those extra tags have gone on sale. Zone 4 is later today, but it's not for every week, because some are just not available. So everybody's got to go online and see what's available and what zones are available to purchase for today. Like Zone 4 is for today.
Right. Yep. So, every day of the week is a different zone. So Monday is Zone 1, Tuesday 2, Wednesday 3. Today is Zone 4, Thursday, which is our area. I mean, the lines around here south of us, but a lot of people around here are probably looking for Zone 4 tags. Zone 4 and Zone 1 had the least amount of extra bonus tags this year. Zone 4 only has 11,000, which sounds like a lot, but in reality, it's not, because the first 3 seasons, there aren't any bonus tags. The 4th season, they only have like 359 or something. So now you're pushing it all the way out to the 5th season, and there's only 7 or 6 or 7. And you gotta get it. I actually just left the service center, and I've never seen a line outside the front door, but there's 6, 7 guys out there standing in line, and I guess I'm assuming they're playing. I hope they know that it doesn't open till 10.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it's at 10 o'clock, and those guys, it's like Black Friday. They're already waiting online for that.
It did look like Black Friday. Actually, I pulled up and I looked, and I'm like, what am I forgetting today? I wasn't thinking, bonus tags right away. I was thinking something else, and then I assumed that they're just like the old school way of buying it in person, and that's totally fine. But to their credit, you got to get in line, because our customer service staff can only help 1 or 2 people at a time here. So if you have the opportunity to do it online, which whether you like the new system or you don't, I guess something nice about it is, instead of standing in a line to get a bonus tag, you can turn your phone on 15 minutes before 10 and virtually get in line. They'll randomly put you in a virtual line online, and then you just wait for your turn to buy a bonus tag for what's left.
Exactly. Yeah. I've got my alarm set on my phone to make sure I do that, so I can get one bonus one out there too.
Yeah, I think they're gonna go quick. We usually do a turkey camp. A bunch of wardens retired for the 4th season, but with only 350 of them, I think it'd be pretty hard to get 5, 6, 7, 10 of them for the guys. So we're gonna push it back a week or 2 this year.
Yeah, probably smart. Hey, also too, I mean, because we are approaching the end of the month here, it might be a time too for your new fishing license, correct?
Definitely. So, beginning in March, a month before, you can start buying new licenses for the next calendar year. So April Fool's Day or April 1st is the annual switch of your licenses, your license year. So it's always April Fool's Day. It's always April 1st, where your 2024 licenses are then invalid, and you now have to get a 25, 26 license. You can start buying them, and you can go online and buy them today. And if you are going to wait and get a bonus tag, be prepared to buy your license as well today. They don't let you buy a bonus harvest authorization without buying either a spring turkey license or, your patron's license. So for me personally, every year I buy a bonus tag, and every year that's the day I also get my patron's license. I get I put my applications in for bear in the fall, for other trapping for bear species, and then I also actually at the same time I actually put in my request for the 2026 turkey season or my picks for that. So there's a lot you can do when you go to get a bonus tag today.
Absolutely. So for the rest of this month, Jake, maybe just kind of to revisit, can people still go fishing in open water? I mean, there's different rules on what you can keep, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. So the inland general inland season is technically closed. So if you're fishing on any inland waters, I'll put an asterisk around that. But generally, on any inland waters right now, walleye season's closed, muskie season's closed, northern season's closed. Most game fish seasons are closed, minus you can catch and release bass.
Okay.
not perch, but panfish, perch included. Panfish is open year round. It's a harvest season year round for panfish, so you can go out any day of the year and catch panfish. But if you're going to be, casting rapalas on Lake Altoona today, it's got to be, you have to be intending to catch a bass. Otherwise, everything else is closed, and you'll get a ticket for fishing during the close season.
Gotcha. And does that open, opening days in May? So, yeah.
Yeah, first weekend in May is always that. So, like, this is the time of year where there's refuges below a lot of dams, like the Altoona Dam. There's a refuge 500 feet down. You can't be fishing there for anything. And there's a lot of those refuges across the state this time of year to let different species spawn and do what they do in the spring and be protected. So there's a lot of that going on. There's a bunch of closed seasons. Now, there are open game fish seasons still on a lot of the border waters, like the Mississippi River, and up in Green Bay and different stuff like that. But those have real specific regulations. Some of them are catch and release seasons. Some of them are like a different daily bag where you can get like one walleye and different things like that. So if you are going somewhere on the border waters, you really want to dive into those rigs and make sure you're doing it right and following the regulations appropriately.
Jake, before I let you go, I know this was earlier in the week and not necessarily maybe in our area, but obviously it was in the news, the 750-acre Big Island fire in Green Lake County. What, a couple days ago was 100% contained in that too, but maybe a good reminder too, we didn't get any snow nets, so conditions are still dry. And I know I think you and I were even talking about it with burn permits and such too. I mean, even though this is Wisconsin, this stuff like this, I mean, that's a pretty big wildfire that's out there and such.
Yeah. Yep. So even I am surprised at sometimes how many like wildfires we actually have going on any given day. There's days I run into foresters and they're like, yeah, we have 12 fires going right now.
Wow.
And they're not, 750. They're brush fires here. They're somebody's property there where they were burning brush and it got away from them. Or, there's actually a lot of them that start on the side of highways from different vehicles sparking, the dry vegetation on the side, and then that goes off into someone's property or whatnot. So there's actually a lot more of them than you think. I think just, your local counties, township fires, the DNR does a really good job of extinguishing those smaller ones right away and getting on it. But it is a really good reminder that it's brown. Like, as long as the ground is brown, there's no snow, so it's not white and it's not green yet. If the ground is brown, it's a really, I don't want to say dangerous necessarily, but it's a very cautious time of year to be burning because all that vegetation is still dead and dry. Usually there's not a ton of precipitation right now. And it's usually windy. So there's always good chances at burning or at wildfire. So you really want to check with your local DNR forester office, like we have in like Augusta, Jim Falls, even the Eau Claire DNR Service Center, because they are all staffed with rangers and this is what they do, foresters, and this is what they do. They're smart. They can give you information on how to burn safely and this and that. Plus, they can also tell you if it's legal to burn or if you need a permit, because they work close with the county and townships as well.
Yeah, definitely. Jake, before I let you go, anything else that you want to throw out there as reminders or anything?
Yeah. Just kind of on that first topic about, you find deer, you find antlers. One other thing that I guess I'm getting a lot of calls about, and, I think a lot of people take care of this on their own, but I think it's important to say is if you find a deer, a dead deer, whether or not you want the antlers or this or that, the DNR generally does not, we don't provide the service of going out and picking up every dead deer on everybody's property across the state. It's impractical. There's too many deer. There's not enough staff. It's not practical. So, if you do find a deer on your property and you don't suspect any harm or poaching or that it's sick or anything like that, you can kind of treat it like if you found a dead squirrel or a dead rabbit or something where you can, if you have the land to dispose of it, drag it in the woods and let different animals take care of it. Let nature take its course. If you have somewhere where you can dispose of it, if you know where there's a deer dumpster or landfill, you can take those and get rid of it. I've got a few calls recently about people like kind of demanding that I come out and remove a deer from their yard. And, I professionally explain our job and the DNR's role in wildlife management. And it's just something we can't do. So if you have questions or you want help with different ideas how to get rid of it, if you think it's sick, definitely if you think it's poached, give us a call and we can work through it. But generally, if you just find a dead deer in your woods, you can just leave it there or figure out a plan to dispose of it.
Good info. Jake, we appreciate the time as always, buddy. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the games, man. And
enjoy the opening round.
Exactly. And hey, we'll catch up with you again next time. Okay, bud?
Yeah, sounds great. Appreciate it. Always a good time.
You got it. There you go. There's Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the state of Wisconsin. Good stuff as always with Jake. We're going to take a break and then picks and predicts time to wrap up this Thursday. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Looking to get your vehicle, getting some maintenance done, whether it's an oil change, maybe getting some brakes done, or you need some new treads, need some new tires, go visit our good friends at AJM Automotive located on Brackett Avenue. Or maybe you're thinking about spring, summer, lawn mowing season, lawnmower need a little bit of a tune-up and such. They can help you out with that. Towing services, AJM Automotive even has that. They got you covered, man. Brackett Avenue, 1919 Brackett Avenue. Again, AJM Automotive Services, our good friends there, and they're partners of ours as we head over to the draft in Green Bay next month. We can't go without partners like AJM Automotive and Carpet City Flooring Center. So if you'd like to help us and be a partner of ours and going to the draft, let us know. Reach out to us. All right, and we'll talk. Let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room located in Eau Claire. We're going to be taking the Mobile Man Cave to Green Bay, and the Elbow Room is a partner of the Mobile Man Cave, Hy-Vee, Carpet City Flooring Center, Woods and Water Realty, Toyson Ford as well. But the Elbow Room located in Eau Claire, right next to the Banbury Place. Do some NBA games before we get to some college games here. New York at Charlotte. Yeah, give me the Knickerbockers. Brooklyn at Indiana. I'm going to go with the Pacers, but Brooklyn, please win. Toronto at Golden State. Give me Golden State. Chicago at Sacramento. I'll go with the Kings. Milwaukee at the Lakers. I'll go. So LeBron's still out. Listed as out. I'll go Bucks win this, but hopefully Luka doesn't go off like he was in their first matchup. Just was it last week, even though the Bucks still won it. But I'll go Bucks, but I'm a little cautiously. All right, round one, not counting the play-ins. Round one tips off at 11:15. Creighton versus Louisville. Wisconsin, Montana's the third game. Yeah, we'll do this in order here. Make it simple. I'm gonna go Louisville. High Point, Purdue. Give me Purdue. Montana, Wisconsin. Give me Scotty. Edwardsville, Houston. Give me Houston. Alabama State, Auburn. Give me Auburn. McNeese versus Clemson. Give me Clemson. VCU versus BYU. I'm going with BYU. Georgia and Gonzaga, the Battle of the Bulldogs. I'm going to go Georgia. I'll go Georgia. Wolford versus Tennessee. Give me Tennessee. Arkansas versus Kansas. I'm going Arkansas. Yale and Texas A&M. Yale. Oh, I want to pick Yale. But again, I'm kind of gutless with this. I'm going to go Texas A&M. Utah State and UCLA. Ooh, I could see Utah State pick. I'm going to go UCLA. St. John's over Omaha. I'm going to go Michigan over San Diego, and then Texas Tech over UNC Wilmington. So yes, I'm pretty much going with all the favorites except I guess 8 and 9 matchup with there. So that's how I'm rolling with it though. Those are my picks for the tourney today. Those are your picks and predicts brought to you by our good friends from the Elbow Room. It's all day basketball affair with the D1 tournament, men's tournament. We've got Stout in action in Final Four for women's basketball, taking on NYU later on this afternoon, early evening. Oshkosh is also in action. So if Oshkosh and Stout win, we got a WIAC, all WIAC national championship game. So best of luck to the Blue Devils of Stout. Also, we've got state boys basketball in action. Elk Mound's going to be tipping off around 1:35. So best of luck to Elk Mound. We got others. Bondwell's also in action today. You've got, excuse me. Yeah, Bondwell's in action, taking on the Prairie School, and Aquinas taking on Mineral Point. We've got Turtle Lake and Cochrane Fountain City that are going to be in action tomorrow. Bucks, as we mentioned, also in action tonight too. There's other stuff going on blue gold wise. I know the softball teams down in Florida, they picked up a couple big wins yesterday. Even baseball's picking up some wins. But this softball team blanking, picking up 8-0 wins and 10-0 wins yesterday. So nice work. Baseball, 17-8 victory over Fredonia yesterday. You had men's tennis team picking up a 6-1 win over St. Lawrence. But coming up on the schedule here too, you've got the NCAA championships for men and women's swimming and diving. Softball is going to be back in action. today as well, along with tennis and baseball is going to be back at it tomorrow here too, with spring break and that you got a lot of games in warmer weather climates going on. So best of luck to all of our teams out there competing. All right. So it looks like, just to kind of wrap up some of the texts and votes out there, it looks like a majority of you have Wisconsin winning 2 games in the tournament and advancing to the Sweet 16. So that's where the majority of you are at. I would say the top 3 teams in terms of win or who has who winning the national tournament, it's between Houston, Auburn, and Duke. So that's kind of where the majority of you are at. I would say when we asked what's your favorite thing in the next month, is between the tournament and the Masters. Opening day is close. Opening day is close, though, but not necessarily the number one. Some of you picked a couple, and Masters were a very common one, like for number 2 in that. So let's just say the top 3 are basketball, Masters, and opening day. So also looks like the majority of you saying don't ban the tush push, and a majority of you saying yes to changing the playoff formatting in the NFL to allow a wild card team that has a better record to have the home game instead of a division champion. So thank you to all of you who participated, chimed in with your thoughts on that. Appreciate that. Coming up tomorrow, we'll have Brandon in, so we'll do some local sports roundup. We'll definitely talk some more Brewers as we are 1 week away from opening day, starting to get a clearer picture of how this roster is going to look on opening day. We'll talk to him about some of the remaining question marks or jobs still up in the air at this point. So we'll talk some Brewers with Brandon tomorrow. We'll do a little inside the training room with Dr. Crow just past 7 o'clock. Hopefully we're talking about a Badger win. Hopefully we're talking about them taking down Montana, and then kind of previewing whether they will be playing VCU or BYU. And then it'll be day 2 tomorrow of the Division I men's tournament. And then hopefully too that we are also talking about UW Stout maybe going to the national championship for women's basketball. And of course, that'll be part of local sports roundup with Brandon too, with state boys basketball. We'll see if there's any more football news and nuggets and notes out there. But it looks like the Boston Celtics just got sold. Bill Chisholm, managing partner at Symphony Technology Group, has agreed to purchase the Boston Celtics for a valuation of $6.1 billion. Whew, that's a good chunk of change. This is now the largest sale for a sports franchise in North America, bypassing what the Commanders' price was in 2023 at $6.05 billion. $6.1 billion for the Celtics. Whew. An NBA team has now the richest or the largest sale price of any of the like NFL, NHL, or Major League Baseball or NBA. It's the Celtics. Premier organization, no question about it. But all right, that just popped up a couple minutes ago. So, Oh, I thought it said Stephon Diggs signed with the Patriots, but he's visiting with the Patriots today. Okay, so, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off. Enjoy the games, whether it's the state boys basketball, UW Stout, NCAA Division I men's basketball, Bucks tonight. It's a basketball day. Reminder, we're going to be at VFW Post 305 tomorrow. We're still doing the show from here tomorrow morning. Then after the show, we'll head on over to the VFW Post 305 to watch some hoops and some free man cave light while supplies last. DP and Danitz are up next. Have a good rest of your day. Same place, same time tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Talk to you then.